The sun on planet Roval was never too bright. It stayed behind thick gray clouds, giving the land a pale and tired look. The buildings were made of metal and dust. There were no flowers, no colors, and no music in the air. Only orders, machines, and footsteps dot in the middle of the large human outpost inside a dark hallway. A young alien girl walked quietly. Her name was Nara. She wore a plain uniform, torn at the edges. Her skin was light blue, her eyes large and calm. She carried a tray with tools and walked like the wine silent and unnoticed. Nara was not born to serve. She came from a peaceful village near the mountain ranges of Roval. But during the Great Expansion, human soldiers had come. They had taken land, built stations, and turned many native people into workers. Some called them helpers, others whispered the word slave. Nara had been just 10 years old when it happened. She remembered running, crying, hiding between the trees. And then, one day, a human picked her up from the forest. His name was Darren. He gave her food, a blanket, and a place to sleep. For a short time, she had thought he would protect her. He had even smiled once, calling her little star. But he never spoke to her again after that. As the years passed, he became a busy officer. Nara was placed with the other alien workers, cleaning halls and fixing wires. Darren left one morning on a ship. No goodbye, no promise to return. Now, Nara was 17. She had grown tall and silent. Many thought she did not understand the human language, but she did. She had been listening for years. She listened to officers speak about other planets. She listened to guards complain about supplies. She listened to engineers explain how machines worked every night. She whispered new words to herself under her breath. She studied their meaning. She remembered everything. One evening, while she was cleaning near the power room, the lights flickered. A strong wind outside shook the towers. Then, the station lights went dark. Alarms did not ring. The backup system failed. Workers stopped. Guards looked around in confusion. Someone shouted, "Get the tech crew." But the tech crew was at the far side. No one knew what to do. Nara stepped into the power room. She saw the problem at once: a broken fuse, a loose wire, and a wrong connection. She had seen this before. She moved quickly, her fingers steady. In 5 minutes, the lights returned. The machines hummed again. No one saw her. No one thanked her, except one. A short old alien man with white hair and oil-stained hands stood at the door. His name was Torin. He had once been a builder before. The humans came. Now, he worked as a cleaner. He looked at Nara with quiet pride. "You fixed it," he said. She nodded. "You're not just a worker," he added. "You have the mind of a leader." Nara lowered her eyes and gave a small smile. No one had ever said something like that to her. They walked back to the sleeping quarters together. Torin asked her many things. Where she was from, what she remembered, what she wanted. She answered in short sentences. Shy at first, then slowly, she spoke more. "I want to know things," she said. "How machines work, how ships fly. I want to understand why they took our home." Torin looked at her for a long moment. "Then you must learn," he said. "Learn everything you can. One day, knowledge will be your voice." From that night on, they met in secret. Torin showed her old blueprints, broken parts, and how to fix them. He taught her symbols of old Roval and how messages were once sent between villages using light and code. They met in empty rooms, behind storage crates, or inside broken vehicles. The guards never cared what the quiet workers were doing. Time passed. Nara became more skilled. She spoke like a human, fixed machines faster than the repair team, and could open locked doors without a sound. But she still wore her simple clothes, still carried trays, still walked in silence. One morning, she passed by the command center. The officers were too busy to notice her. On the screen, she saw maps of the galaxy, names of planets, words like control zone and rebel threat. She stopped. Something inside her stirred. She wanted to understand those maps. She wanted to know what humans feared and why her people were kept quiet. She asked Torin that evening, Do you think our people can rise again? Torn looked at the stars through a broken glass window. One voice can start a storm, he said. But it must be a voice with wisdom. Nara said nothing, but her heart beat faster than ever before. That night, she sat alone in her small sleeping pod. She closed her eyes and remembered her village. The sounds of birds, her mother's songs, and the feeling of the wind between the tall trees. She whispered to herself, I will not stay in chains forever. And far above, among the stars, a ship moved quietly toward Raval. A name was printed on its side. A name she once knew well. Darren. But Nara did not know that yet. Not yet. She only knew one thing. Something was beginning. Something she could not stop. Something no one expected. The wind on Roval blew softly across the metal walls of the human base. The towers stood tall, watching the dry land around them. The sky was still gray. The sun still hid. But inside one of the long work halls, something had begun to change. Nara walked with a toolbox in her hands. Her steps were light, her face calm. She passed humans who did not look at her. She passed other alien workers who kept their heads low. No one stopped her. No one asked questions. They still thought of her as just another quiet girl. But Nora had changed. She was learning, listening, watching. She had been fixing broken pipes and power lines for 2 years. Now, she understood the systems better than most human workers. She never spoke unless needed. That silence made her invisible. And invisibility was her gift after her work shift. She walked to the back lot where scrap metal and old parts were kept. She saw Torn sitting on a metal crate. He waved her over. His beard was longer now, and his hands were always stained with oil. But his eyes were still sharp. Nora sat beside him. I fixed the west gate today, she said. The sensor wasn't broken. It was just dirty. Torn smiled. And did anyone thank you? She shook her head. Good, he said. They still don't see you. That means you're free to move as you like. Nora looked around the lot. I want to build something, she said. Something small. But mine. Torn leaned back and looked at the sky. What will it be? A listener. She said, something that hears signals from space. He nodded. Then we will build it. That night, they gathered broken parts from old machines. Nora worked with quiet hands, remembering every wire, every chip, every bolt. Torn showed her how to tune old receivers. He told her about ancient Ravalian devices used before the humans arrived. Within 2 weeks, Nora's small machine was ready. It was a black box with an antenna made from a bent pipe. She hid it inside an empty fuel tank on the edge of the base. Every evening, she checked its signals. At first, there was only static. Then, one day, she heard a voice. It was weak, cracked, and hard to understand. But it was their. Not human. Not from the base. A voice from the stars. She listened for days, writing down sounds and repeating them to herself. Some words she did not know. Some were in the old Ravalian tongue. When she told Torn, he became still. These are not just signals, he said. These are memories. Someone out there is calling to us. Nora felt her heart beat faster. Who? I don't know, Torn said. But they remember Roval, and they are waiting. The days went on. Nora worked by day and listened by night. She began to understand more. The messages spoke of lost places, hidden archives, and maps that once showed the full reach of Roval's people. It spoke of unity, of rising again without war or fire. It spoke of hope. One morning, while Nora was repairing a broken air vent, she heard two guards talking nearby. They did not know she understood them. There's trouble near the South Hills, one said. Another group refusing to send tribute. The other replied, rebels. The first asked, maybe, or just tired workers. They laughed and walked away. Nora stood still for a moment. Then, slowly, she looked toward the south. That evening, she asked Torn, are there others like me? Others who want change? He nodded. There are. Some wait in silence, some move in secret, but none have a way to speak to all. None have a voice strong enough. Nora touched her small signal box. Maybe I can be that voice. Torn did not speak for a long time. Then he said, "Are you ready for that?" Nara looked at her hands. They were not soft. They were marked with oil, burns, and cuts. They were not the hands of a servant anymore. "I'm ready to learn more," she said. That night, they repaired a long-range sender. It had been broken for years, hidden under junk. Nara cleaned every part and fixed every line. When it was ready, they turned it on. A blue light blinked. Nara typed her first message into it. It was short. It was simple. To anyone who remembers. "Roval, you are not alone. We are still here." Then she sent it. The stars above gave no answer. But Nara waited. 3 days later, an answer came. It was only one word, spoken in the old tongue. Heard. In the next few weeks, small things began to happen. A missing guard tower. A power line cut in the hills. A storehouse empty without a trace. The officers grew worried. They tightened patrols. They searched homes, but they never looked. At Nara, she was still just the girl with the toolbox. Until one day, Torn was caught. A patrol found old maps in his sleeping space. They took him away without warning. Nara watched it happen. She could do nothing. Her hand shook for the first time in years. That night, she walked alone to the edge of the base. She looked at the stars and listened to the quiet sound of her machine. She felt fear, but she also felt something stronger. A voice inside her, not loud, not proud, but steady. She sent one more message into the dark. "They took one of us, but we are still here. We will rise, not with fire, but with light." The reply came an hour later. "Then let the stars remember our name." And Nara knew then that her journey was no longer just about learning. It was about leading. She was no longer forgotten. She was not broken. She was becoming something more. The base on Roval looked the same. Gray walls, metal gates, cold skies. But inside, the air had changed. Fear moved through the halls like a slow wind. Guards walked in pairs now. Workers were searched without reason. Food lines were shorter, and voices were quieter. Everyone knew something had happened, but no one spoke of it. They only knew Torn was gone. Nara did not cry. She did not shout, but her hands moved faster. Her eyes looked deeper. Her steps became quicker. She felt a hole inside her heart, but she filled it with purpose every night. She went to the small signal box hidden in the fuel tank. She sent short messages. Sometimes she received replies, sometimes silence. But the replies she did receive were enough. "We hear you. More waking. You are not alone." One day, during a quiet shift, a storm rolled over the mountains. The sky turned darker than usual. The ground shook a little. Nara was in the supply garage when an alert flashed on the screen. A ship had crashed in the hills outside the base. An old human officer barked orders. "Send a worker team to check the wreck. Take what you can. Bring back anything useful." Nara stepped forward. "I can go," she said. The officer looked at her, surprised she spoke. Then he nodded. "Fine. Take two with you." Nara and two other workers, Laurel and Minna, walked out of the base, pulling a small hover cart behind them. Rain fell in thin sheets. Lightning flashed far away. The ship was easy to find. It had fallen near the rocks, its body broken but not burnt. Its engine was dead, but the front cabin was still whole. Minna and Laurel searched for parts. Nara moved to the cabin. Inside, she found something strange. No bodies, no weapons, just empty seats and one small box blinking with a blue light. She picked it up. It was a portable data core used to store information and send short-range signals. She looked around. No one was watching. She slipped the core into her bag and walked out. They returned to the base with a few broken parts and old wires. Nothing special. The guards didn't ask questions. That night, Nara stayed in the shadows near the waste unit. She opened the box. The light blinked. She connected it to a small screen she had built in secret. It powered on. Words appeared on the screen. Old language. Old names. Maps. Histories. Secrets. Her eyes widened. These were files from long ago, before humans came to Roval. They showed villages, meeting points, and places where messages were once sent through light and wind. Hidden valleys, mountain paths, underground shelters. She read for hours. She copied everything onto her own device. Then she hid the box deep inside a broken wall. The next day, she whispered to Laurel, "Meet me after lights out." Laurel was strong and quiet. He had seen his family taken away when he was young. He didn't speak much, but Nora trusted him. That night, she showed him the maps. At first, he said nothing. Then he asked, "Are these real?" "Yes," she said. "There are places out there, places the humans never found." "Why are you showing me this?" "Because we need to start moving," Nora said. "Not just words, action, quiet steps, like the wind." Laura nodded. Soon, others joined. One by one, Minna, who worked in the kitchens, Bren, who knew the sewer tunnels, Talia, who repaired water pumps. They met in secret, using old storage rooms and broken supply trucks. They passed messages using hand signs and simple marks on the walls. Nora became their voice, not with loud speeches, but with quiet truth. "There is more out there than this base," she told them. "We are more than workers. We are the children of Roval. We still remember." Each week, someone left the base, not through the gates, through holes, tunnels, empty cargo trucks. One by one, they disappeared into the wild. The officers noticed. "Too many missing," one said. "Start searching every worker room." Nara's room was searched twice, but they found nothing. She kept her maps inside an old pipe above the heater. Her messages were erased every night. Her tools were always clean. She was still the girl with the toolbox. One evening, while she worked near the communication tower, she heard two humans speaking. "Command is sending someone," one said. "Who?" "An envoy from Earth. High level." "What for?" "They say someone is spreading ideas. Someone's building a network." Nora kept her back turned. Her hands did not stop moving, but her mind was racing. That night, she sent a signal to the outer hills. "They know someone is rising." The reply came after a long pause. "Then it is time for a voice to be heard. A true voice, not hidden." Nora walked back to her pod. She looked at the walls, the floor, the small bed. This place had held her for years, but it had not broken her. A door had opened. Not just in the hills, not just in the maps. Inside her. The next morning, she woke before dawn. She washed her face. She tied back her long hair. She wore a clean shirt, not the torn one. She walked to the edge of the base and looked at the land beyond. Behind her, the tower stood still. But ahead, the world waited, and she was no longer afraid of it. A cold wind blew over the hills of Roval. The air was thin, but it carried quiet voices. Voices that spoke in hidden caves, deep forests, and underground tunnels. They were the voices of the forgotten, the voices of those who still remembered the old ways. And in the middle of them stood Nora. She had left the base nights ago through a hidden path beneath the waste station. Laurel and Minna guided her through the hills to a small camp made of old ship parts and stone walls. The camp was quiet, but alive. Alien families sat by small fires. Some cooked, some prayed, some sharpened tools. Many wore nothing but rags, but in their eyes, there was strength. These were the ones who had escaped, the ones who refused to bow. Nora stood in front of them. She held no weapon. She wore the same work clothes, but her voice was steady. "I am Nora," she said. "I was taken when I was a child. I worked in the human base. I fixed their machines. I cleaned their floors. They did not see me. The people listened. But I listened to them. I watched them. I learned their tools, their systems, their weakness." She stepped forward. "Roval is not gone. It is only quiet, and now it must speak again." An old woman stood. Her name was Selly. Her hair was white like ash. She had once been a teacher in the mountain schools. "You are young," Selly said. "Why should we follow you?" Nora looked at her, calm. "Because I don't ask you to follow," she said. "I ask you to walk beside me." There was silence. Then someone clapped. Then more. Then all. That night, the fire burned a little brighter. A group of workers from the South Caves arrived with news. Another human supply line had been slowed by missing fuel. No one knew why, but Nara did. Her messages had reached the mountain tribes, and they had begun to act out small things, silent things, cutting wires, hiding tools, giving wrong numbers and reports, nothing big, nothing loud, but together. It made the humans nervous. Inside the base, officers argued. Reports were messy, resources were thin, and the name Nara had begun to spread in whispers. Some girl, one officer said, a worker. Quiet type. She escaped last week, another replied. Now she's building something, a network, a group. Should we report to Earth? We already did. But Earth was far, and answers were slow. Back in the hills, Nara sat with a small group around a stone table. A map was spread before them. It showed the base, the nearby towns, and the old roads once used before human control. LARO pointed at a water pump station near the edge of the city. If we take that, he said, we can stop the water flow into the base. Minna shook her head. No need to take it, just delay repairs. Let it break slowly. Nara nodded. We win with patience. Not fire. Not yet. Then she pointed to the bottom of the map. There's an old signal tower here, she said. If we fix it, we can reach others farther away. Bryn, the boy who knew the tunnels, looked surprised. That place is broken. We fixed what they forgot. Nara said. The next morning, Nara and two others walked toward the tower. It stood like a lonely tree on a hill, broken and rusted. The wind howled through its bones. They climbed it slowly, replaced cables, cleaned the panels, adjusted the dish. By evening, the tower stood again. Nara sent one message. Roval speaks again. The reply came from a valley far to the north. We hear you. The stars are listening. Later that night, as Nara returned to the camp, a young girl ran up to her. There's someone at the edge of camp, she said. He says he knows you. Nara followed her. In the dark, near the trees, a man stood with his hands raised. He wore an old uniform. His face was tired. His clothes were dirty. It was torn. She ran to him. He smiled. I told them nothing, he said. She hugged him without a word. Her eyes were wet, but she did not cry. You came back, she whispered. I followed your signal. He said, it reached me in the prison camp. He looked around. You did this, he said. No. Nara said, we did this. The next few days passed with quiet work. More people came, some from far villages, some from nearby farms. They brought news, stories, food, and hope. They called her the voice, not queen, not leader, just the one who reminded them who they were. But trouble was coming. A patrol from the base reached the edge of the forest near the camp. They did not enter, but they left a message tied to a tree. It was simple. Return to the base. Stop the signals, or we will take back what is ours. Nara read it. Then she burned it. These hills were never theirs, she said. Then she turned to her people. We don't fight with guns, she said. We fight with light, with truth, with unity. Torn stood beside her. You are ready, he said. More ready than you think. Nara looked up at the stars. They were still distant, still cold. But they were watching, and so was Earth. But Nara was not the same girl they had left in chains. She had become the fire they never saw coming. The stars above Roval seemed brighter than before. Maybe it was just the clear sky. Maybe it was hope. But to the people hiding in the hills, it felt like a sign. More groups were joining Nara now, from mountain caves, desert paths, and broken towns. They came quietly. No banners, no weapons raised, just tired hands, careful eyes, and strong hearts. In the camp, tents had doubled. Children ran between fires. Old songs were sung again, softly, as if testing the wind. The language of Roval, once forgotten, returned in whispers, and at the center of it all was Nara. She spent her days walking from group to group. She asked questions, listened to stories, and solved small problems: a broken wheel, a sick child, a missing supply box. No task was too small, no voice unheard. People began calling her leader now. not because she told them to, but because she always stood when others sat. She always spoke when others feared. She did not shout. She did not command. She simply walked forward. One evening, Nora sat near the signal tower with Torn, Laro, Minna, and a few others. A small map was laid out on the ground, marked with stones. "There's a shipment leaving the base tomorrow," Laro said. "They're sending parts and food to the north. Camp, we could take it," Minna added. "It would feed us for a month." Nora looked at the map, then shook her head. "No," she said. "If we take their supplies, they will strike harder. We must show we are not thieves." "But they took everything from us," Laro said. "I know," she replied. "But we will not become what they are." Torn nodded. "Then what do we do?" Nora pointed to a smaller station near the road. "There," she said. "It's a signal post. If we send the right message from there, it will reach the outer planets." "What kind of message?" asked Minna. "A call for peace," Nora said. "A request for talks, not war." Laro frowned. "You still believe they'll listen?" Nora looked at the stars. "They may not," she said, "but we must try." The next day, a small group left the hills at sunrise. Nora was with them. They wore simple clothes and carried only tools. No weapons. They reached the signal post by evening. It was empty, forgotten by the humans. Vines had grown through the walls. Dust covered the panels. Nora and Torn worked fast. By midnight, the system blinked to life. She typed the message slowly from Roval. "We seek dialogue, not war. We ask for respect, not control. We are alive. We are united. We are ready to speak." She sent it. They waited. Nothing came for an hour. Then a light blinked. "Received. Message sent to Earth Central." Awaiting response, Nora let out a long breath. The next morning, news reached the base. Officers argued in closed rooms. "She wants peace," one asked, "or she's buying time." Another said, "We can't ignore this." A third officer added, "Earth will ask questions." Inside the base, a message was sent back to Nora. "Envoy from Earth arriving in 4 days. Prepare for talks." In the hill camp, people gathered around the signal tower. As Nora read the message aloud, some cheered, some remained silent. "What if it's a trap?" someone asked. "It could be," Nora said. "But we meet them with calm minds and open hands." Torn stepped beside her. "And if they don't come in peace, then we stay united," she replied. "That is our strength." Preparations began. The camp was clean. A small meeting hall was built from wood and stone. Elders from different tribes arrived to speak with Nora. They wore robes of old design, with symbols of rivers and stars. They did not bow to her, but they stood beside her. On the 4th morning, a ship landed near the flat fields outside the camp. It was white, with the mark of Earth Central. Nora stood at the front gate with Laro, and Minna beside her. Torn waited nearby. From the ship, a group of people stepped out. One man walked ahead. He was older, with short gray hair and a sharp face. Nora's heart stopped for a second. It was Darren. The man who once saved her. The man who left her without a word. He looked at her and paused. "Nora," he said, voice low. She did not nod. She did not smile. She only said, "Welcome to Roval." They sat inside the wooden hall. No guards, no weapons, just words. Darren looked around. "You've done much," he said. "This is more than I expected. I'm not here to impress you," Nora said. "I'm here to speak for my people." He nodded. "Earth received your message. Some are open to talks. Others want order restored. Order built on silence is not peace," she replied. Darren looked down at his hands. "You were just a child," he said. "Back then, I didn't know what to do. I was not asking to be saved," she said. "I was asking to be seen." He said nothing. Outside, the people waited. Fires burned. Children watched the sky. Inside, Nara spoke with strength. "We don't want war," she said. "We want space to live, to speak, to remember who we are." Darren looked at her and saw something he never saw. Before, not a servant, not a child, a leader. "I will take your words to Earth," he said at last. and I will speak them clearly. Nara nodded. Then your ship may go, she said. But know this, we are no longer waiting. We are building, with or without permission. That night, as the ship rose into the sky, the people of Roval gathered around the fire. They sang songs older than any book. They lit torches and placed them in a circle. At the center stood Nara. Not with a crown, not with a throne, but with the voice of a people once lost, now rising. The days on Roval grew warmer. The clouds began to break, and sunlight touched the hills for the first time in a long while. The people in the camp moved with purpose. Their hands were busy, their voices strong. They built, they cleared, they planted. Hope was no longer just a whisper. At the center of this change was Nara. She stood on a small hill overlooking the camp. Her eyes scanned the horizon, the old forests, the metal towers in the distance, the sky filled with stars even in daylight. She felt a deep calm. She was no longer just a girl who repaired machines. She was more. Near her, Torn approached with slow steps. His face was lined with years, but his eyes shone with pride. They call you queen, he said quietly. Nara looked at him, surprised. I don't feel like one, she said. Torn smiled. You are, not because of a crown, but because you lead those who had no voice. Nara thought about the journey, the stolen childhood, the silence, the pain, the strength. Then I must live up to it, she said. Word spread quickly. News of the rising voice reached far beyond Roval. Tribes from nearby planets sent messages of support. Some humans tired of control offered friendship. Some old enemies chose to listen, but not all welcomed the change. Inside the human base, a new command arrived. His name was Kalen, stern and strict. He believed in order above all. He sent patrols deeper into the wilds. He warned of rebellion and chaos. He said the people must be controlled or removed. But Nara and her people moved carefully. They avoided open battle. They used the tunnels, the force, and the old paths. They shared food with neighbors. They rebuilt homes destroyed years ago. One morning, as Nara walked with Torn near a small river, they met a group of elders from a distant tribe. The elders wore robes of blue and gold, symbols of peace and wisdom. We have come, said one elder, to offer you this. He held a small wooden box, carved with symbols of the stars and rivers. It is the seal of Roval, the elder said, given only to those chosen to guide our people. Nara took the box carefully. I accept, she said. The elders smiled. We will stand with you, they promised. That night, the camp gathered around a great fire. Torches lit the faces of hundreds. Children held hands with parents. The old sang songs of courage and freedom. Nara stood before them. She wore no crown, no jewels, just a simple cloth over her shoulders. She spoke softly, but everyone heard her clearly. We are the children of this land, she said. We have been silent for too long. Now, we speak. We do not seek war. We seek peace. We seek respect, and we will have it. The crowd cheered. But beyond the camp, in the cold halls of the human base, Kalen watched. He sent a message. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. This rebellion must end. Days later, a small fleet of ships appeared above Roval. They were large and black, casting shadows over the hills. Nara stood on the hilltop, watching the sky darken. The people gathered behind her. Fear was there, but so was courage. Torn placed a hand on her shoulder. Remember, he said, we fight with light, not fire. Nara nodded. She raised her hand. Let them see who we are, she said. Using the repaired signal towers, they sent a message to the ships. We are Roval. We are alive. We are not enemies. We asked for peace for a long time. There was silence, then a reply. Prepare for negotiation. Weapons down. The ships lowered their weapons. The fleet moved away from the surface. A small shuttle landed near the camp. From it stepped a delegation led by a woman with calm eyes and strong presence. Her name was Commander Talie. She spoke with respect. We have heard your words. We wish to understand. Nara welcomed them. Days of talks began. They spoke of history, of pain, and of future. Nara told stories of lost homes and stolen dreams. Talia listened and shared stories of Earth's own struggles. They found common ground. At the end of the talks, a new agreement was made. Roval would govern itself. Humans would no longer control the land. Both peoples would work together to rebuild. Nara stood before the gathered crowd once more. "This is just the beginning," she said. "But we have taken the first step." The people cheered. Torrens smiled. "You truly are the queen," he said. Nara looked at the stars once more. She was ready. The sun rose gently over the hills of Roval. The sky was clear and bright for the first time in many years. The air smelled of fresh earth and growing plants. Birds sang softly in the trees. It was a new day for the people who lived here. At the center of the camp, Nara stood tall and calm. She wore a simple robe of blue and white. Around her neck hung the seal of Roval, a symbol of hope and unity. Her eyes looked forward, filled with strength and kindness. Behind her, the people of Roval gathered. There were many now families, workers, elders, and children. They had come from far places, from broken villages, and from human outposts. They were free. Nara took a deep breath. Today was the day the new council would meet for the first time. This council was formed to help all the people live together in peace and build a future. The council hall was made of stone and wood. It sat on the highest hill. Light poured through tall windows. The air was warm with hope. Inside, Nara took her place among the leaders. There were elders from the mountain tribes, representatives from the desert clans, and even a few humans who wished to help. Nara spoke first. "We have traveled a long road," she said. "We have faced silence, fear, and pain. But we have also found strength, hope, and friendship." The council members listened carefully. Some nodded. Some smiled. "We will build Roval together," Nara continued. "A land where all voices are heard, where every child can grow safe, where the past teaches us and the future welcomes us." After the meeting, Nara walked outside. The sun warmed her face. She saw children playing near the river. She heard laughter, a sound long missing. A man approached. It was Darren. He bowed his head slightly. "You have done more than I dreamed possible," he said. Nara looked at him. There was no anger, no pain. "Thank you," she said. Darren smiled. "I'm here to help, if you will allow it." She nodded. "We will need many hands." Days turned into weeks. The new Roval grew stronger. Fields were planted. Homes were rebuilt. Schools opened. The old scars of war began to fade. Nara visited the human base. She spoke with Commander Talia. Together, they worked on agreements and plans. The base became a center for trade and learning, not control. One evening, Nara stood by the signal tower. The stars sparkled above her. She thought of the journey of the girl who once served in silence. The voice that grew in the dark, the queen who chose peace over war. She smiled softly. A young girl approached her. "Will I be a queen like you someday?" Nara knelt and looked into the girl's eyes. "You can be anything you want. Remember, true strength is kindness and courage." The girl smiled and ran back to play. Nara turned back to the stars. Anew, dawn had come to Roval, and with it, a new story, one of hope, unity, and a future built by many voices together.